Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Balenhle Chrissy, and if you are new on this channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. As you can see with the title of this video, I'll be talking about how God has blown my mind and how God has exceeded my expectations in my time of looking for a job. It's been a month now since I am an employee for a new company, and I was working in another company before. A year ago, I started looking for a job. The reason why I looked for a job is because I felt like I was doing all I could do in the company, but I was not being valued. However, I will always be grateful for the time, the experience, and everything that I've learned in that company. I feel like it has led me to where I am today, and I do not take that for granted. So a year ago, I started looking for a job. I wanted to grow, and I felt so stagnant. If you are watching my videos, I made a video a few months ago where I talked about how I feel stagnant, but at the same time I trust the timing of God, and I trust God that He's gonna provide and give me what I desire. When I was looking for a job, I was very specific of what I was looking for. The environment that I was working on was not the best environment or the enjoyable environment, and I had to push through all the difficulties and the challenges that I used to face every day. And as someone who is very passionate, I like growth. I like to see myself in a position where I'm being inspired, where I'm being mentored instead of being supervised or managed. So I work well independently. I'm not gonna lie. So I was in that space. Fortunately, in my previous employment or my previous job, I was able to step up for myself and be that person who is working independently, and I report whenever I had to report. But most of the time, I was the one who was doing my job, and I can say that I was doing pretty well. I was doing good, and my problem was that I got to a point where I felt like I needed to grow, and what I was doing at the time was not giving me that growth that I wanted. And you know, when you are growing up as an adult, that you want to start doing things for yourself, such as buying a car, building a home, and being in a better space financially. I felt like at the time I was not there, and I had so many dreams, and I had this vision of seeing myself as a big corporate queen who is doing very well for herself. That is where I felt like, okay, girl, you need to look for something else. So what I did was to, firstly, I'm not gonna lie, I was very desperate at the beginning when I was looking for a job, to a point that I was like, okay, even if I get like 30% more of my current salary, I'll be happy. And I started applying and applying and applying. I was using all the sites that you can think of, like career sites that you can think of. A lot of agencies will call me, and they'll call me for contracts jobs, and I'll be like, okay, is there any way possible that after maybe the contract ends, I can get a permanent job? And they're like, no, the client wants someone for to work in a period. And I'm like, okay, no, because I knew that I couldn't take a contract job or a job that is gonna end like in 6 months while I was doing a full-time at that time. The reason is I feel like I was applying for everything and everywhere because of how desperate I was. And guys, to tell you that it didn't work for like a year, like it didn't work, and I used to get a lot of response. And until this year, so early this year, I think it was February, if I'm not mistaken, that is where I applied in one of the big companies, and then they called me. It's one of the companies that everyone will want to work for. And what you do is that you send your CV, you apply actually on the website for the company. I sent my CV, I answered all the questions that they ask when you apply for that position. I completed everything. After a week, I received an email saying that I will have an assessment and an interview online. If I do pass that interview, I'll be able to meet the interviewers face to face. So I remember doing that interview, and in my mind I was like, oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people applying for this, so let me just do it. And trust me, after a week of me doing that assessment and that video, I got a call saying that I'll have a meeting or an interview on Teams. I was like, what? Yes. I was like, okay, this is actually working. And I was so shocked because there is a big company, and I've never thought that, okay, such a big company can reply or can see me like out of thousands of people who will be applying for the same position. And for me, at that time, what I learned with that is how much valuable I am, even though I do not see that in myself, or even though I was not feeling like that where I was in the company that I was working for. And I was like, okay, maybe I can just work for a small company, but not like a big company. But when I got an interview with a company, I knew that I was a big deal. I knew that I was capable, and I was designed for greatness in my life. I knew that there's something better coming for me. So I had an interview, and then I waited. Unfortunately, after a month, they replied saying that I was not successful. I kept on applying. I kept on applying. And what I used to do after I had that interview with that big company was to visualize and was to see myself into the similar company, even if it was not that one. With a similar company, I knew my value after that. I knew that I need to step up for myself, and I deserve much better, and I can be recognized. So as I was going through interviews, I did get interviews also with other companies. I remember going to an interview in one of the other companies, and out of, I think we were 6 or 7, and after we got interviewed, they asked me to stay, and then they gave me like a laptop, and they asked me to do a test, and I was the only person who was doing a test in that company. I did an Excel test, and I knew that I nailed it. And for me, I was expecting them to reply after that, but they didn't. So after it, I kept on applying. I didn't give up. Mind you, at this time, I was applying with the mindset of I deserve better, and this is what I want. I want to see myself in a big corporate company that values people and that will benefit me as much as they are benefiting from me. I knew my capabilities and what I wanted for myself in terms of salary, in terms of the work environment, and in terms of my own personal growth. I remember after having an interview, a Teams interview with one of the companies, they replied after a week. They told me that they selected someone because I didn't have much skills in terms of telephone skills. I was like, okay, sure. I remember writing down a note. It was just me saying to God, you know what, God, I know that you want me to be here for a reason, but it's hard. It is painful, and I feel like it's been a long time for me applying, and I get calls, they promise me, but it just ends there. And I felt like on that note, I just poured my heart, and I said, I understand that you want me to be here, and I want to serve here until my last day. And I don't know my last day, but you know my last day. And I started praising God in advance for the things that I have. And I started praising God for giving me a job that I'm happy with, and giving me things that I'm happy with, being happy as a person, and being fulfilled. I remember that is what I wrote in that note. I after that, I was like, I started thanking God in advance. That is what I can say. Maybe I will insert that on this video. I kept on applying like every single day. I used to send more than 20 CVs a day. I will be on career websites, I will be on companies websites, trying to look on what I can find, and I applied as much as I could. And I remember getting a call from this lady from my current company, and she asked me if I can come for an interview. I was like, okay, sure. And I went for an interview. When I walked in there, I was like, God, this is for me. I was an hour early. It was not far from where I stay. Everything just worked out. It looked exactly of the company that I used to dream about and to see, like in my vision, that I want, like I want to walk into a door and feel that I am working and feel that I'm a corporate girl. When I walked in there, I was like, God, this is for me. I know that this is for me. And I stayed there for an hour. They called me, and then 3 beautiful ladies were interviewing me. You know, when you are doing interviews, I've done interviews before and it didn't work out. And that time, they told me first that we like your CV and we want to know more about you. And when they say, tell us about yourself, into my mind, I thought, okay, maybe I need to start saying, what experience do I have? Who am I? Blah. And they're like, no, tell us about your hobbies. And it was so smooth to a point that I didn't feel like I was even in an interview. I felt like I was just in a conversation talking about myself. It was so smooth and easy, and everything was just okay. And it felt so great to be sitting there. I was like, God, for the first time in my life, I am in an interview where I feel like I'm at home. I talk to people who understand what I'm saying, and they want to understand what I'm saying. And I was able to ask them questions, and we were just talking instead of like a serious interviews. It was so different with the interviews that I had. So I remember the lady from HR walking me out of the premises, and she was like, I think the reason why your interviews didn't work for the other companies that you mentioned that you had interviews with, it because I'm supposed to be here. And I didn't understand that. And she was like, I'm gonna send you an email. There's a test that you need to write. It's just a multiple choice. It's very simple. When I got to work, she sent me the test on email. I received it, and I was like, I wrote the test. It was simple, just a basic skill test. And then after 2 days, she called me. She says, can you please come for a second interview? You are meeting the head of HR. I'm like, okay, sure. The date for the second interview came. I remember walking into the company, and the reception said, this is for you. Trust me, this is for, I was like, what? And she was like, yes, this is for you. And I met this amazing lady, which is a head of department for HR. And again, it was not an interview for me. Compared to the interviews that I went to, it was a conversation. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It was the first time seeing myself so comfortable and being so open in an interview. I feel like all the times I was like this frustrated person, and who just who is scared to be like in an interview. And I think it's because of the structure of it and everything, but with that one, it was so comfortable and I was so myself. Later on the day, I was at home. Just doing my own things, and I was not expecting that I received an email because I kept on checking on my emails. I received an email saying, we are pleased to inform you that you are giving you this offer, please accept this offer before the certain day. When I opened the offer, it had a mock payslip, like a sample of payslip and how everything is gonna be. I was so shocked. I remember going to my bedroom and I was like literally crying, and I was like, God, you know, I have always dreamed about this. I have always seen myself in this, and it is amazing. And worst part, it's just exceeded what I was expecting. Like, although they asked me what would you want to get, or what is your expected salary, I told them that I will be happy if I get a certain amount, but I'm willing to negotiate because I just wanted a new opportunity. And when I got the offer, it was exactly in the range that I mentioned, and I was so shocked. Like, I was like, this can't be, and it was so real. And I couldn't believe it. I remember praying and thanking God for coming through for me. And yeah, that was my life. That was the day where everything just turned on the right side for me. And I remember how much I used to pray about it, pray for my growth. And it took me like strictly a year since I started being serious about applying for a new job. It took me a year to get it, like strictly a year to get it. And I was in a pinch of giving up, but there was this thing in me that kept on saying, don't give up, don't give up. And every time when I will get a call from a certain company or being called for an interview and it doesn't work out, I'll console myself with that, maybe it's not time. You know, when you're trying to control yourself, but you know deep down that maybe you needed this because you are so desperate we are so desperate to get like an opportunity, and the opportunity that you get, you grab it with your two hands because you don't want to miss it. And I remember how I used to send CVs. I'll search on the nearest companies in my area and I'll start sending CVs. Some they'll reply and say, no, we don't have anything. Some they'll say, we'll keep your CV in case there's something happening in future. We'll call you. And some companies, they won't reply. I applied and applied and applied, go to interviews, and they will reject me. And for me, that day was a promise that God is still there, that God is there even if we don't see it, especially if you are a child of God. No matter where you are, you might be in a company that you don't like today, or you might be doing a job that you don't like, but trust me and trust God that you will get what you want. It's all about timing, and it's all about waiting on God. And what I want to pass today is it's a message of manifesting and bring that vision into reality. Those goals, seeing yourself in a different space from where you are currently, seeing yourself in a better space from where you are. You might be in a job that you don't like, you might be in a relationship that doesn't make you feel good about yourself, you might be in a very, very bad state of your life right now. I've been there. I've hated myself. I've questioned God in many, many times and in many ways. But now I believe that, especially if you're a child of God, you have to wait on the Lord. So this is how I manifested. I saw myself in this space, and I'm in that space now where I'm very content with everything that is going on in my life, with everything that I have. And I'm trusting God to lead me and to lead my step, and not to lean on my own understanding, because I believe that you can't be saying you are a child of God and then at the same time you want to stand by yourself. You have to trust God with everything. You have to trust God when things are going right. You have to trust God when things are going wrong. You have to trust God when you feel like you are left behind. You have to trust God. And this leads me to the verse that I'll read for you. Okay, this is a King James version, Isaiah 30, and this is verse 18. It says God will be gracious. So it says, therefore the Lord will wait, that he may be gracious to you, and therefore he will be exalted, that he may have mercy on you, for the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait on him. So this is the verse that we read, that was read at church today, and it got into me, and I was like, you know what, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the favor of God and how much God meets us where we need him the most. And he wants us to believe in him even if it doesn't make sense. That is what I've learned about my whole experience, and the power of manifestation, and to know what you want, what you deserve, and to not cross the line, to know what you want and what you deserve, and to go for that. I feel like there is a spirit that you need, like that you all need, to know that we are valuable and shouldn't look down at ourselves just because of where we are. You might be in a space where you feel like you're not being valued. You might be in a space where you feel like you're not being seen. It's okay for you to shift. It's okay for you to say, I want the best for myself, and I'm gonna go out and do that. So these are the things that you can do. The first thing that you need to do is to be patient. Be patient for what you are looking for, and for what you want, and for what God has promised. In the book of Acts, it does say the Holy Spirit promised. So God will promise us things, and we need to wait on that. So I'll just read on the Acts 1 verse 4. It says, and the Holy Spirit promised, and being assembled together with them, he commanded them not to depart from Jerusalem, but to wait for the promise of the Father, which he said, you have heard from me. So if you read, like, let's say the whole chapter of chapter 1, if you can just start from verse 4 and to verse 8, you'll understand that God has commanded people from Jerusalem not to shift. This is the verse I manifested on before I got my job. I knew that, okay, I have tried to do things on my own, but now it's time for me to believe that God has something better for me. So the second thing is, don't settle. We tend to settle because we are so desperately looking for a change and looking for a growth in our lives, and then we move from what we wanted from God. Trust me, God is gonna give you what you want, but you need to wait for it. And if you say you want yellow and you are unable to wait for yellow, God will bring that green, and you'll believe that green is there. And just because you can't wait, you'll take that green, and it's sometimes not for you. And yeah, don't settle, and believe that what you want is what you'll get, and what you want is what God will give you. That doesn't mean that other things won't come along the way. They will come, and they will be presented to you, and it doesn't mean that those things are not coming from God, but you should be able to see that, okay, this is not what I want, and I won't be able to accept it. And I got to realize that in the interviews that I was going to, those were not my companies. I was not supposed to work there, but because I wanted like to change, I wanted that growth, I was pushing it like on my own. Another thing is to write your vision down. Habakkuk talk about this. Write your vision down and wait. Say what you want, how you want it to be, where you want it to be, and how is it going to benefit you. Write that vision down, and you'll thank me later. Another thing that you can do is to work on it every day. I am big on saying do not give up. You know why? Because I believe that things do work out at the end of the day. So if you are in the verge of giving up, do not. If you felt like you have given up, go and start again. Do it again. It might be a business, it might be whatever that you are looking for. Do not give up. Try again, fail and try again. As long as you know that that is what God has promised you and that is what you want, you will get it. The last thing is believe in yourself. I always say this, that no one will ever believe in you if you do not believe in yourself. What you desire for your life, it's only you who can say, this is what I desire and this is what I'm gonna go for, this is what I will get. And trust me, the next person won't believe in you if you're not believing in yourself. So the confidence that you hold when you walk into companies, if you're looking for a job, it's gonna speak for you. The confidence of what you say, the confidence in your CV, it's gonna speak for you. So you won't have to say anything yourself, and what is for you will never miss you. What is for you will never leave you. What is for you will come at the right time, and you will know that it is for you. So if you find this video helpful to you, thank you so much, and please do like, subscribe, and don't forget to comment, and you can share this video with your friends. If you're looking for a job or for a change in your life, this is the right channel, because we are all about self-improvement. Anything related to self-improvement, that is what this channel is all about. This channel is all about developing you, and we are not afraid, or I am not afraid, to talk about my failures, also to talk about my wins, and to testify of the things that God has helped me on. And you will receive more of that. And then I do hope that you enjoy, and if you are looking for employment, I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you on my next one. Bye for now.